So your manifesto is quite understandably focused on diversity issues, but a big part of the DoRep's role is education. You haven't been a school president, you haven't, have you been a class rep?
I haven't been a class rep, no.
And you haven't been on the education board or anything like this. Do you think you've got enough experience to run that side of the DoRep's role?
My main answer for that would be yes. I study science, maths and physics, and I find that because I study science and I'm on the SRC and SSE, there is like none of us, not one person. So I think that if anything, despite not sitting on class rep or sitting as a school president, I understand that the education system is so diverse because all my friends are art students and I'm a scientist. So yeah, while I've not maybe worked directly with as a class rep or in the education committee, I think I've got a diverse range of what the education system is here because of the fact I'm a scientist.
So the DoRep runs class rep training and things like that. Do you think you'd be able to do that even though you haven't been one?
I think I can. I think that a lot of working with other people is a skill I've already gained from SRC and SSC, and I can easily learn what it is that I need to teach class reps. And I think what I want to instill in class reps and school presidents this year is working as a team, because I think that's something that a lot of the schools lack, and that's something that I can bring to it that maybe isn't directly education related but will still be helpful.
So you talk about study spaces in your manifesto, but really just promoting the spaces that are already there and already full. Have you got any real kind of meaty policy to increase the study spaces?
Well, something that I know that was touched on this year and something that I think that could be improved next year is the use of North Hall to people that aren't necessarily science students. And I know that a lot of science students are going to put their hands up and be absolutely outraged at that concept. But I think that there are times I'm in there when the place is empty and that space could be used to other people that need it. And if people are willing to make that trek, they're probably not going to be disruptive. So I think that opening the North Hall for later times and to more people is definitely something that we could be looked into, as well as spaces in the biology building, and further promoting Gateway. I think people don't realise that Gateway is used and can be used and is often left half empty. So I think that drawing attention to what is already there is something we do need to do, because people don't realise half of them are there most of the time.
And presumably you support the library redevelopment that's going to happen. That was something that wasn't mentioned in your manifesto.
I completely support it, yeah. I can see how people may be worried it was going to be a bit of an inconvenience for a while, but it's for the better good at the end of the day. So, yeah. And I think that while study space is definitely something that people struggle with, especially in the library, because finding a seat during exam season is very difficult, there are loads of other spaces that aren't used during study season that we could definitely push forward.
Another thing that was missing from your manifesto, which is there was actually 2 candidates for DoRep didn't have this in, and every candidate I've ever interviewed for DoRep has talked about reading week. Do you think there's just no solution? Do you think that we just have to live with what we've got?
I've spoken to a lot of people about this, particularly current DoRep, about the situation with reading week and how we can go about fixing it. And the answer is there is no easy answer. We can't fit the week in without moving exams till after January. There's no way to do it because, unfortunately, the English system doesn't bring results out early enough for people to plan to come here, so it would leave them all of a week to accept their offer and make plans to get here, which I think is unfair to new students. I think that we need to work on things like consolidation days, but for now there is no solid plan as to how that to work, and I don't want to put something in my manifesto that's not 100% guaranteed to work. It's definitely something I'm going to consider, but I think there are other policies on there that are much more important for us to focus on right now, because there are a team of people trying to sort out reading week. Moving
on to the things that you're really passionate about, you've been LGBT president, and you talk about collaboration between societies promoting minorities. Why do you think that's important?
I think this year, LGBT has become a lot more visible and had a lot more of an impact on the general student body. And I think that there is room for that to be done by all minority groups. If you think about it, LGBT is a lot more prominent than the percentage of us that are actually LGBT. And I think that the way to do that is to collaborate with other minorities to work together to bring about visibility and make sure that they are making themselves like they're there, and so that anyone needs the support can come to them. And I think that working together is the best way to do that. I always think teamwork is the best. So,
so this is related to this safe space initiative that you've been promoting. Do you want to explain what that's?
Of course. So I've been working with a few members of my team on LGBT, but I hope to continue it if I'm elected as DoRep. Safe Space is a programme which works on the concept of staff in schools. So we're talking anything from, you know, lecturers to professors to support staff to, you know, janitors. And if anyone is interested in offering support to people who are LGBT, then they can get training with the Society and Student Services, and then we'll give them a little rainbow to put on their door, so that if anyone is having problems, they can just knock on their door and come in and speak to them and find out where to get advice, how to get in contact with the LGBT Society, in case people are worried to outreach from, you know, just university into university life. I think it's a really good programme and could definitely be expanded to not just LGBT, but obviously that's where the focus has started, and we hope to have it rolled out in IR. If not by the end of the semester, by the start of next year. So that's exciting, and hopefully other schools will call on and think it's a good idea.
So you mentioned that you're a science student, and almost a rarity for a SAB candidate to be a science student, and one of your manifesto policies is a STEM poster campaign. What positive outcomes do you think can come out of that?
Well, I don't think there could be any negative outcomes, but positive outcome-wise, I think that it's often, in my experience, that women in science is still, maybe not as much of an issue, but it's still a thing. I still find that I don't feel as much of a physicist as a lot of the guys in physics. And it's not through any fault of theirs, just to clarify. It's kind of just the way it is. The professors are still predominantly male. And I think that it's important to find out exactly why it is that women feel uncomfortable, or why maybe they're choosing not to take STEM subjects. But I think that the poster campaign, if it goes ahead and the survey goes ahead, that it's something that could be expanded to look at maybe why science students aren't joining SRC or SSC, and why they're just sticking to their own people. That sounds awful. Why sticking to their own area. So,
do you think science students make better representatives?
I think that a person's representative is irrelevant of what they're studying. But I'd like to think that it gives you an edge, because I would say that if you've ever done science, you'll know what I mean. There's so much to juggle all at once, and you learn how to problem solve when you can walk, you know. So I think that they're skills that are not negative for running for any sort of position. So it's definitely something we can encourage.
Finally, you talk about increasing the relationship between Nightline and student services. But what's the meat behind that policy? What is actually going to happen with that?
So right now, as you know, we have a wellbeing officer who is in charge on keeping contact between Nightline and student services. But I personally don't think it's strong enough. I know there are a lot of people that don't know what student services is, don't know what Nightline is, and perhaps wouldn't know how to get in contact with them or how to get access to the services if they needed them. So I think that one of the main parts of the policy is to bring awareness and make sure from the day you arrive, you know exactly what they are and exactly how to get help. And I think the way to do that is through working with them directly and hopefully hosting some events that brings to light not only who they are and what they do, but also gives people an opportunity to come along and meet them without feeling pressure to, you know, approach them directly in student services, which I know could be awful nerve-wracking.
Well, Fallon Sheffield, thank you very much for the interview.
Okay.
Good luck with the campaign.
Thank you.